If you're considering the Asus Tuf Gaming VG34VQL1B, a 34-inch curved gaming monitor promising an ultra-fast 165Hz refresh rate and buttery-smooth visuals, stick around because I'm about to tell you everything you need to know, especially the hidden problems that might cost you your gaming edge. But here's what surprised me. This monitor, despite its attractive specs and price tag of around $259, isn't all it's cracked up to be. Yes, the Asus marketing paints a perfect picture, but here's the twist. Once you dig deeper, you'll find some real deal breakers that most reviewers don't mention up front. So if you want a game like a pro without pulling your hair out, keep watching because this review might save you a lot of frustration and money. Let me kick things off by asking, are you a competitive gamer hunting for that ultra-wide cinematic experience, hoping to find that sweet spot between immersive visuals and performance? Or maybe you're upgrading from a regular 1080p monitor, craving that high refresh rate and crisp detail for your next Fortnite Battle Royale or Cyberpunk 2077 session. The Asus Tuf Gaming VG34VQL1B checks many boxes on paper. A stunning 34-inch WQHD ultra-wide screen with a 3440x1440 resolution, folded into a significant 1500R curve, an impressive 165Hz refresh rate, though it officially supports 144Hz as well. Sounds like a dream come true. Plus, it boasts FreeSync Premium to stop screen tearing and blur-busting Asus ELMB tech claiming a 1 ms response time. However, I found several things worth rethinking before you order. Spoiler alert, it might not be the smoothest ride you hoped. Now, imagine unpacking this beast only to find that the curve feels a little aggressive to some eyes, creating distortion in certain games and even office apps. Not everyone digs a 1500R curve, which is much more pronounced than most ultra-wides on the market. If you're into color accuracy, the VG34VQL1B offers Display HDR 400 certification and covers a professional color gamut, but it's not exactly color-proof for creators or photo editors. Plus, its HDR experience is subtle. Think more like a TV showing HDR light rather than vibrant cinematic brilliance. For hardcore HDR lovers, this might be a letdown. But here's the kicker. A lot of the glowing praise overlooks its average contrast ratio and uneven backlight bleeding, which can break immersion during darker scenes or nighttime gaming. Are you willing to pay $259 for these compromises? That's a question I'll tackle soon. Let's dive deeper into the performance quirks. FreeSync Premium should, in theory, eliminate screen tearing entirely, right? Well, in practice, I noticed occasional frame syncing problems, especially when switching between different refresh rates or running mixed GPU setups. It's not a complete disaster, but for a gaming monitor branded under the TUF series, known for toughness and reliability, this inconsistency feels out of place. The 1 ms MPRT response time promised by Asus ELMB tech does reduce ghosting, but it comes with a trade-off. Enabling ELMB disables FreeSync, so you can only have one or the other active at a given time. Meaning, while you might get sharper visuals under ELMB mode, you risk a choppier gaming experience because FreeSync is off. That's frustrating if you want the best of both worlds. Wondering how this monitor handles connectivity. The VG34VQL1B stacks DisplayPort 1.4 and HDMI 2.0 ports, 2 each, which is great for hooking up multiple devices like consoles, PCs, or streaming boxes. You also get USB hubs for peripherals. Sounds perfect, right? But here, the devil's in the details again. Some users have reported flaky behavior with the USB hub ports, causing peripherals to disconnect randomly. And HDMI 2.0 limits you to 144 Hz at 3440x1440. Instead of the full 165 Hz, you can squeeze out with DisplayPort. The stand is adjustable, with tilt, swivel, and height options, and it incorporates Asus eye care tech to minimize blue light, useful for marathon gaming sessions. But the build quality feels a bit cheaper than expected for the TUF branding. Speaking of marathon sessions, let's talk about ergonomics and comfort. On the plus side, the ergonomic stand is a welcome feature, allowing easy adjustments, and the eye care tech definitely helps reduce eye strain over long hours. But the curvature, as I mentioned, can be polarizing. Some may find it immersive, like sitting inside a curved theater screen, yet others report headaches or difficulty focusing on certain UI elements or menus. This is especially true for non-gaming tasks like spreadsheets or browsing, where the curve exaggerates distortion. Are you buying this primarily for gaming or multitasking? That's a big consideration. Here's something funny. I tried to play a horror game on this monitor with the HDR mode turned on, and instead of looking spooky and immersive, the shadows looked washed out, like the ghost was just taking a nap. Maybe even the ghosts were scared off by the poor HDR implementation. All jokes aside, HDR 400 on this monitor is basic compared to premium HDR screens, so don't expect the full cinematic wow factor. Now, what about the user reviews on Amazon? With a respectable 4.4-star rating out of 5, many users do praise its value for the price, especially the image clarity and fast refresh rates, but the complaints mirror what I found. Backlight bleeding, inconsistent FreeSync behavior, and that too aggressive curve keep popping up. Some gamers add that the audio jack is placed inconveniently, and the power brick is external, which clutters the desk. Nothing that breaks the deal immediately, but enough to irk neat freaks or minimalists. So, is the Asus Tuf Gaming VG34VQL1B a good buy or a buyer's regret in disguise? Here's the lowdown based on my experience and research. If you're after a mid-range ultra-wide gaming monitor with solid specs and a curved immersive feel, and you can live with moderate HDR and minor backlight flaws, you might find a good deal here, especially at $259, which is competitive for 34-inch ultra-wides with high refresh rates. However, if you crave the ultimate smoothness with FreeSync always on, superior HDR punch, or want the least eye fatigue with a gentler curve, you may want to shop around a bit more. I also gotta share a personal moment. While gaming on this monitor, I joked to my buddy that at least my screen tearing issues were so rare I started wondering if they were a golf clap from my GPU instead of an actual problem. But in reality, switching between ELMB and FreeSync felt like choosing between crispy visuals or stable gameplay, kind of like picking between eating cake now or ice cream later. Either way, you get the sweet taste, but not both at once. Quick rehook one. If you've ever felt frustrated by screen tearing or ghosting in competitive games, the VG34VQL1B promises a solution. But is it foolproof? Watch on because I'll reveal if the trade-offs are worth your hard-earned cash. Quick rehook 2. Curious about whether this aggressive 1500R curve is a blessing or a curse. I'll share exactly who this monitor is best suited for and who should steer clear. Quick rehook 3. Wondering what kind of games benefit most from this monitor. I've tested popular titles, and I'll tell you where the VG34VQL1B shines and where it stumbles. Quick rehook 4. Finally, I'll give you a quick hack for improving your experience with this monitor, something many buyers overlook that can enhance your gameplay comfort and visuals. Now, who exactly is this monitor for? The Asus Tuf Gaming VG34VQL1B is best for casual to mid-level gamers looking for an immersive ultra-wide experience without breaking the bank. It's great if you want decent HDR, a curve that pulls you in, and a refresh rate that's high enough to enjoy fast-paced shooters or racing games without lag. However, if you're a competitive esports pro chasing every millisecond in response time or a content creator needing color perfection, this might not be your ideal pick. Here's a little story. I once gifted this monitor to a friend looking to upgrade his setup on a budget. He was blown away by the size and curve initially, but after a few weeks, he started noticing that switching between ELMB and FreeSync wasn't seamless and sometimes caused confusion during frantic matches. He finally decided to set it permanently to FreeSync and live with slight ghosting rather than sacrifice stable frame rates. Talk about gaming life choices. But he did enjoy long gaming sessions thanks to the eye care tech and adjustable stand, which helped keep his eyes fresh and neck pain-free. As promised, here's a quick hack. You can calibrate the monitor's brightness and color settings manually to minimize backlight bleed and improve shadow detail, especially in darker game environments. Also, using the DisplayPort connection instead of HDMI grants you access to the full 165 Hz refresh rate, provided your GPU supports it. Pro tip: avoid Windows scaling at 125% or more, which tends to exacerbate UI distortion on curved ultrawides like this one. Now let me sprinkle in a couple more jokes because why not? Why did the gamer bring a ladder to the Asus monitor unboxing? Because he heard the specs were through the roof. And one more, if this monitor were a superhero, it'd be called Captain Curve, fighting flat screens one bend at a time, but sometimes getting too dizzy on the mission. So to wrap this up on a positive note, the Asus Tuf Gaming VG34VQL1B is a solid choice in its price range for gamers craving an immersive ultra-wide setup with fast refresh rates and eye comfort features. It delivers good performance for casual gaming, multi-monitor setups, and everyday use, making those long sessions a bit easier on your eyes and neck. The setbacks I mentioned aren't deal breakers for everyone, and might be worth tolerating if you prioritize immersive gameplay and great connectivity options without spending more on premium models. If you want the best price on the Asus Tuf Gaming VG34VQL1B, check the link in the description below. I've made sure to find you the latest deals so you don't overspend. Thank you for sticking with me through this in-depth review. I hope it's helped you make a smarter decision for your gaming setup. Remember, sometimes investing a little smarter up front saves you a ton of headaches and ghosting down the road. Happy gaming!